What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Everybody's doing good. How was your weekend? How's everything? How's your week going? My name is Roberto Ramirez. They call me Big Poppy, Philadelphia Poppy, you already know. And welcome to this new podcast. This is the Dead Ball Podcast, brought to you by GSMC Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. How's everybody doing today? And, we got a few topics that I want to talk to you guys about today, especially one topic in particular. That's the segment that we're getting ourselves into. We want to talk a little bit about the Eagles, man. The Eagles lose to the Atlanta Falcons last night. That was an ugly game. That was not a pretty game to watch. Monday Night Football has been getting really bad games, but for whatever reason, it should have been a bad game. It should have been a blowout. But A.J. Brown out for the Eagles last night. And also the Devin White, which is kind of interesting. I know that Nakobe Dean has been playing very well, but he didn't show very much last night, in my opinion. The Falcons, they had Antonio Hamilton, the cornerback, out for the game. Another linebacker, Nathan Landman, out for the game as well. But the story of the game was basically how the defense coughed up the game for the Eagles. The Philadelphia defense has been so bad, and they still can't tackle, especially the secondary. No pressure, zero pressure from the defensive front four. The defensive line put no pressure in that fourth quarter. It was ugly to watch. I mean, they did get the job done in the first half. That's literally why the Eagles were in the game, because they kept them in the game, especially with that red zone defense in the first half. It was very interesting to watch because it saved them in Brazil, and it's almost saved them here last night against the Falcons. Kirk Cousins went out to cook. He looked like low-key like DC. Let's say Minnesota. He looked like the Minnesota Kirk Cousins. 29 attempts, 20 catches by his receivers, 20 for 29, 240 total yards, which is a little bit up there with 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty bad as a defense. And the reason why I think it's bad, because those are not like out of this world numbers. It's not like he was out there playing hero ball until he got into the fourth quarter. But I think the real story of the game was how Bijan Robinson ran all over us. He literally ran the ball through our throats. 97 yards on 14 carries. And this is the stat that just baffles me, and I want to know what Big Fangio, the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, thinks. 6.93 yards per carry. 6.93. That's almost 7 yards total per carry. In 14 carries. He didn't even carry the ball 20 times. He carried it 14 times, and he carried it for 6.93 yards per carry, 97 yards. Ran the ball down our throats. Insane. Touchdown by Mooney, the rookie right receiver. Drake London with another touchdown catch. And then the Jessie Bates interception to end the game. When Jalen Hurts tried to connect with Smitty at the very end of that game. Let's talk a little bit about another big topic during this game. Saquon Barkley, 22 carries. Workhorse. 22 carries, 95 yards. More than worth it. He's been worth every penny this season. But, I mean, he averaged 4.32 yards per carry to Bijan, who did 6.93. What is going on with the defensive line who can't literally stop anyone in the running game? They're putting no pressure on the quarterback. Kirk Cousins is coming off pretty much a major injury with his Achilles tendon. I really don't know what to say. I don't know what's the philosophy. I'm not a fan of the bend but don't break defense because we don't have the personnel for it. We really don't. Huff needs to show up. I think once Huff shows up and actually starts putting pressure on quarterbacks, I think that's when our linebackers are going to shine, especially Nakobe Dean. He has the ability to get all over the field if he's healthy and to be all over the field and make plays. Zach Bond also has the ability. He's a really big back. That's what I love about him. He's very big, very physical, and actually somewhat fast. He can get to anybody one-on-one on coverage in the secondary. Now, another piece of the story, Devontae Smith, 7 receptions, 76 yards, 1 touchdown. It should have been 2, but it is what it is. Dallas Goedert, the underutilized Dallas Goedert, 3 receptions, 38 yards on 4 targets. Calcaterra, 33 yards with 2 catches. And another receiver that has, I know he came in during the very late stages of training camp and, borderline starting the season, basically. Jahan Dotson, 1 reception for 6 yards. He needs to find separation. I understand that, he just got here. He's learning the playbook. I get that. It's somewhat of a complicated offense, what the Eagles are running, but a lot of motion in the backfield before the snap. With that being said, you got to find separation, especially this game and probably for the next, because I don't really think AJ Brown missed this game. AJ probably won't play the next game against probably one of the most explosive offenses, probably the most exploding offense in all of the NFL with the Saints, which is the Eagles' next opponent on Sunday. We're going to need to score. So Dotson, we're going to be playing indoors in the fake grass. I expect Dotson to show a little bit more separation because, you might not know the playbook, but Hurts tends to bail a lot on the pocket. Even though the pocket has no pressure, he will bail out and run the bootleg around and bounce towards the outside to maybe catch somebody on the sideline or maybe throw against the other side of his body like he did in Brazil a few times that cost him an interception. I wish Hurts would stay in the pocket a little bit more and actually let plays develop a little bit more. That might help Dotson. But Dotson needs to create a little bit more separation. Once he gets to the defensive secondary, he needs to create more separation. And I think it's a combination of that not creating enough separation and Hurts not trusting him yet. But we need at least 65 yards from Dotson in the next game and 1 touchdown for this to happen. Saquon dominated in running the ball, doing whatever he wanted, basically. They saw it. They saw him coming, and they still couldn't stop him. And, you're in this situation where you're 3rd and 4, right? You got a little bit under 2 minutes left. All you need is a first down to actually win the game because you keep running the ball and then you basically knee and the game is over. For whatever reason, the coaches decided, Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, he's the real play caller for the Philadelphia Eagles, they decided to not hand it off to Saquon and throw a bounce pass towards the outside. If he catches it, it's a first down, easy first down, great deception from the rest of the receivers for Saquon basically run by himself, threw the ball, didn't catch it. Problem, when he didn't catch the ball stopped. Now you're giving Kirk Cousins, who looked like MVP Kirk Cousins. He looked so accurate last night. It was insane. We made him look that good. Our secondary, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so I'm mad about this, but at the same time, I'm in awe of Kirk Cousins and how he composed himself and found receivers to go to left and right. And, the touchdown by Drake London to, Darius Slay's playing one-on-one on the red zone, and he bit on a fake, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Why would you bite on a fake when you're defending the red zone? There's not a lot of space, so why would you bite on that? Why would you want to give him a little bit more slack and actually not bite, so that way when you have to bite, you go in and attack the receiver and hopefully get an interception in that play. He bit on the fake, easy touchdown, and that was it. Jalen threw an interception to end the game, try to play a little bit of hero ball. That was not going to happen. The Eagles have a huge problem, and they have an identity crisis on both sides of the ball, which is insane. On both sides of the ball, you know what I mean? All you had to do is hand off the ball, and the amount of cuteness, the amount of cute play calling by Nick Sirianni makes me think that Nick Sirianni should be in the hot seat. You know what I mean? I understand the game in Brazil. I do. I actually understand that. I don't understand you playing at home with such a dominant offensive line and you go for a pass to get the first down to win the game. You should have handed off, because even if Saquon didn't get the first down, it would have been 4th and 1, time for the brotherly shove, and that would have been it. This was ugly to watch. Everything hurts. On the next segment, we'll talk a little bit more about the MLB hot stove and the September stretch and other teams that are trying to compete for a playoff spot. We'll be right back. This is the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast. We'll be right back. What's going on, everybody? This is the second segment of the show. I want to talk a little bit. Let's talk some baseball. MLB September stretch. Let's talk a little bit of the hot stove. What's going on in baseball? Let's talk about the best teams right now in the National League. I want to go towards that National League route a little bit to start this segment. It's very important to note that the Dodgers are the best team in the National League. I think they are, top to bottom on paper, the best team in the National League. There's no question. I mean, with Shohei Ohtani and the opportunity he has to actually win MVP as a designated hitter, that's insane to me. And I know Big Papi is kind of looking with a little bit of resentment towards Ohtani, like, okay, I put up numbers too, and I was never considered. So that's a very interesting thing if he wins the MLB National League MVP. Now, the Phillies actually do have the best record in the National League with a record of 90-60, which is one game better than the Dodgers. The Phillies went through somewhat of a losing streak during the month of July. I thought there was a lot of dead arms in the bullpen and from the starting rotation. But you're starting to see that guys are starting to come back and pitch a little bit better and actually keep the Phillies in the lead of the National League. Right now, Bryce Harper is playing very well. He's actually starting to see the ball a lot better. And he's starting to get a lot more clutch hits. And he's not looking to get a home run every time he's at bat. I think that's one of the best things about him. He's just literally starting to see the ball better. He's averaging 290, which is pretty good. And an OPS of .910. That's pretty good. Anything above 800 is good. He's almost to that 1,000 OPS. That's pretty good. And then on top of that, 82 RBIs. That's pretty clutch. 28 home runs. You know what I mean? You can say that he's somewhat of a MVP candidate for the National League. But as of right now, I think Ohtani should be. With the historic season he's having, he's carrying that team to second place in the National League, which is quite impressive. You know what I mean? But another thing that I wanted to talk about is the Brewers, who actually beat the Philadelphia Phillies last night. That is a very dangerous team because of their pitching. Their pitching is really solid. They probably have one of the best pitching staffs in the National League. Hitting wise, they'll get the job done. They hit enough and they take care of opportunities when they have players in scoring position, like second and third base. They actually hit. They get runs that way. They don't overwhelm you with home runs. They just old school small ball. Coming in, get a hit, RBI. Things like that. That's what that's how they play the game. I'm not really worried about the Brewers. I don't think the Brewers might win the National League. But one team that has shown that can win the National League is Arizona. And Arizona currently is at 83-67. That's a team that can wake up anytime and murder you because they have the ability to pitch. They have a really good starting rotation. They have a really good bullpen. And their position players can hit. They can seriously hit. That's a team that can wake up and go to work and put you to sleep. Like they put the Phillies to sleep to make the World Series last year. Just Texas overwhelmed them in the World Series last year. It was interesting to watch. In the American League, the team with the best record as of today is the Yankees at 87-63. The Guardians, I think, will win the American League. I know that the Yankees are a really good team. I just don't believe in their pitching enough. Their pitching is just not enough, and it won't be enough during the playoffs for them to win the American League. I think the best team in the American League is the Guardians because they can pitch, they can hit. You know what I mean? Especially, I'm a big fan of Naylor, Jose Ramirez at third base. He can do it all. He's a really good hitter. And one thing about Jose, he's so short. He's very short, so it's tough to pitch him. His strike zone is a lot smaller than somebody like Aaron Judge, who's 6'6". You know what I mean? It's a much bigger strike zone. With him, it's smaller. So when you really have to be accurate, especially throwing breaking balls at him. So pitchers, once they get, they're losing in the count. They got more balls and strikes. They're gonna have to throw fastballs at him, and he'll just go to work and hit all day. He's been amazing. Jose Ramirez has been one of my favorite players to watch this season. And I think he should be able to win the American League Why not? MVP. That would be very interesting if he can do that. I believe he can. He's averaging 273, 35 home runs, 107 RBI with an OPS of 847. That's pretty good. You know what I mean? And he's sustaining that throughout the year. That he hasn't really dipped in production all year. So I'd be very interesting to watch him. Houston is winning the West. Houston is a team is so seasoned, full of veterans. They could make a run. I just don't think. I think Father Time kind of caught up with them because they had such a slow start to the season, and they play in a division that's pretty bad. You know what I mean? The West. You know what I mean? Only 2 winning records in the West, in the AL West. You got the Astros at the top, 81 and 69. And after that, 4 games behind is Seattle, who I thought might be able to run with the division this year or compete with Texas, another team that's been very disappointing this year. Texas Rangers, 71 and 79, a losing record for that team. And of course, the A's, 65 and 86, you wouldn't expect less. And the Angels, 60 and 90. That's another team that's a mess. So I don't expect Houston to do a lot of damage in the postseason. Another team that's kind of surprising, the Royals. You know what I mean? That's a team that will go through. They will go through to the wild card. I just don't see them winning much, but they might be a problem because they have a very young staff, and they have a really good pitching staff. Their starters are really good. That's a team that might be a problem 2 years from now. I just don't see if they can keep them because, let's face it, Kansas City is not known for paying players. But Bobby Witt Jr., that's another guy that could win MVP. Bobby Witt has been very productive this season. He's a guy that can anchor the defense and the offense. You know what I mean? For the Royals, which is, quite interesting. I love his stats. He's pretty good. This season, he's been averaging, pulling up his numbers right now. This season, he's been averaging 332. That's up there. That's really good. Those are some great numbers. And an RBI of 108 RBIs this season with an OPS of 984.984. Those are better numbers than Jose Ramirez. So I think he is definitely, Bobby Witt is in talks for MVP, but I think the reason why Jose might get the MVP, AL MVP instead of Bobby Witt is just the record of Cleveland. Cleveland has a better record, and not only that, they're going to win their division. So that's why I believe Jose, his impact is is stronger on the team as an MVP, as a more valuable guy. I think Jose over Bobby Witt. But they're both, I think, neck and neck, even though Bobby Witt does have better numbers. I still think Jose should win the AL MVP. Now, coming out of the in the AL East is the New York Yankees, who are 87 and 63. And 3 games behind them is the Orioles, 84 and 66. I think that the Orioles are a better team than the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees really haven't looked very good in the month of September, let alone late August. I don't see them having a lot of momentum going into the playoffs, especially since they got to play so many division rivals. Boston at 75 and 75 is not going to go to the playoffs, but they can play spoiler. They've been playing very well towards the end of the season. And another team that can actually do a little bit of damage is the Rays. That team can make a lot of make it a lot more difficult for the Yankees. Seeding wise, they're not gonna be a top team in the AL in the playoffs. I would like to thank everyone that paid attention. If you made it all the way to the end of this show, please follow us on all of our social media. GSMC Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. Come, give us a shout out. You know what I mean? You know how you can give us a shout out? You can donate to the show. Come through, show a little love, make your voice be heard. We will love any donation, any tip that you can give us. Greatly thankful for that. This has been the Sports Podcast, the new Sports Podcast on GSMC, the Dead Ball Podcast. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow. Please tune in. We will be back. Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day.